Hello there. We have sad news. There's someone gone because a jet seemingly owned by Motley Crue singer Vince Neil slams into another plane at Scottsdale Airport. Not to imply that the singer has any responsibility for this. It appears that this is because the jet had some part of it being defective, and that's why the crash happened during the landing. The singer was not on the plane at the time of the incident. One person is gone, and four others are injured after a Bombardier Learjet 35A veered off the runway after landing at Scottsdale Airport and crashed into a Gulfstream 200 business jet that was parked on private property, according to the Federal Aviation Administration. According to initial reports, the Learjet's left main landing gear failed upon landing, leading to the collision, sadly. And the city of Scottsdale said in a statement, which also confirmed that the flight was inbound from Austin, Texas. An incident occurred around 2:45 p.m. local time on runway 21, according to Scottsdale Airport. Well, that's what we know about the incident. There were no injuries on board the Gulfstream, but external damages were sustained to the aircraft. That's the statement. Quote, "We are cooperating fully with the airport authorities and relevant agencies as they conduct a thorough review of the situation." JetPro also extended its condolences to the families of those impacted and thanked emergency responders for the swift response to what it called a terrible accident. Now, I'm going to say I don't know why this main landing gear failed. We don't have the information yet. But there has been a large increase in near misses when it comes to aviation. There doesn't seem to be data supporting an increase in actual deadly incidents, but in near misses there certainly is. And I think I have a theory as to why, if you will indulge me. This is from James Lindsay, incidentally. So, what is he saying? Let's have a close look at Boeing and DEI. Now, Boeing is just an example here. Pretty much all the other companies were doing the same at the time. We do have at least some information that this may be changing. They at least declared that they are going to fire the DEI team and shut it down, and Boeing at least. Often these things are smoke and mirrors, because what they do is they take the people who work there and they give them another job somewhere else with a similar role, but talking about accessibility or customer support or something of that nature, something that doesn't sound as contentious and political. So basically they are just less proud and bold with the DEI. That's sometimes the result. We don't know yet if that's exactly the case with Boeing or with aviation in general. So, this is from the time before Trump, essentially, because that's when all of these companies decided to shut down DEI. Boeing's corporate filings with the SEC revealed that in beginning 2022, the annual bonus plan to reward CEO and executives for increasing profit for shareholders and prioritizing safety was changed to reward them if they hit DEI targets and climate targets, incidentally. Up to 40% of the executive's potential pay is that annual incentive pay program, which is tied to hitting DEI targets. For those just catching on, DEI doesn't have anything to do with aircraft manufacturing or safety. So, if 40% of your pay is dependent on you hiring more black, female, gay, trans people, then that's what you're going to do, isn't it? I mean, this is not tied to the safety of the airplanes. This is not tied to lack of accidents. This is not tied to being profitable and efficient. It's tied only directly to DEI. Boeing didn't just mandate DEI at Boeing, it also prioritized ESG and DEI in the supply chain, as with ESG agendas, which suggests they did not look for the best suppliers on quality and safety on objective metrics, but focused on meeting their ESG goals instead. So, you might get inferior materials that could, I don't know, fail at landing, for example. I'm not saying that specifically that accident was due to it. I'm saying it's possible, and I am opining that that sort of thing happens more often in an ESG DEI environment than not. I hope that's clear. So, The annual incentive bonus tied to DI targets is more than the base salary for the CEO and CFO. It is equal to the salary for Chief Legal Officer. These are perverse incentives for ideological projects that at best water down Boeing's mission, building safe aircraft. Think about it. The CEO of your company has more than half of his salary tied to hiring more people based on skin, sexuality, and gender. Now that's what he has to prioritize. He or she, they, whatever. Isn't this crazy? I mean, it should be illegal to hire people based on their skin color and gender as it is, you know? If you decided to do the opposite, hire only white men as an incentive for CEOs, it would be illegal. You'd be taken to court and you'd lose your pants in the lawsuit. Now, why isn't it the other way around? Because we have a very, how to put it, pro-DEI Justice Department, legal framework, from universities to the government. At least, again, Trump might change things, but so far we have had for many years now a bureaucracy that advances DEI, and DEI says that anything you do to the straight white male is fine, and any advantages you give to anyone who is not straight white male, so if someone, especially if they are trans, but gay, black, Muslim, female, that's okay. Even if it is illegal by the letter of the law, we don't care about that sort of stuff. We just want to push our agenda. Notice that DEI is not about equality, it's not about fairness, it's not about justice. It is entirely a revenge-based ideology, taking revenge on people today for things that they have not done, for things that their ancestors may have done, but really, even that I would find contentious, because there's a lot of over-exaggeration of the flaws of the past and not enough credit. I can't help but notice that, for example, debates about slavery just discount all other forms of it, but the one committed by the white Europeans on the blacks. If you notice, the Muslims had a lot of slaves. You can see that they took slaves from Africa, they took slaves from Europe. And you had, of course, slavery within Africa, you had slavery within the Native American tribes, one tribe taking slaves from the other. None of that gets into history. It's as if slavery. I heard a black leader once talking on a large rally, going, slavery is a white people problem. No, it's not. It's a human problem. And in fact, it was white people who worked hard to destroy it. So essentially, DEI is revenge for a fictitious history that only ever covers the flaws of the white civilizations, while sort of ennobling everyone else. That is not to say that there are no flaws or that there are no merits for the other cultures, merely that there is no fairness in evaluating the two. And as a result, you have a very angry, hateful, bitter ideology that lashes out at people who have nothing to do with the issues that they are commenting on. And as a result, people might be in danger. So if you have your company being incentivized from the top, meaning your CEO, more than half of their pay is for hiring people based on skin color and gender, as a result, excellence and meritocracy will suffer. It should be obvious. I mean, just think about that. Over half the population in the US is still white. If you exclude them, how can you say that you've got the best people for the job? You'll get maybe half the best people for the job. Less than half, because that's the pool of candidates that you picked for yourself, right? It says here, James Lindsay, it gets worse. The 2023 Boeing DEI report is proud of how they tied executive compensation to DEI, not meritocracy and excellence, regardless of race identity. In fact, they gave business resource groups stock awards for their contribution to inclusion, which he claims is corruption. Now, what is a business resource group, you may ask? It is a self-selecting race and identity-based segregated group of employees promoted by management. They meet with a equity and inclusion steering team to discuss progress related to the company's equity commitments. So essentially, you have a group of DEI workers in the company, people who belong to a specific racial and identity-based groups, and they must be probably very left-wing. They band together and they put pressure to advance hiring more people like them. It's tribalism, essentially. It says here in Boeing's 2023 DEI report, they are proud that more than 50% of their interns are from underrepresented backgrounds. We are hiring based on merit or based on skin color and identity. DEI was never about proportionate representation, it's about destroying objective merit. Well, that seems to be the case. I'm going to be quite clear: if you hire mostly from minorities, then aren't you overrepresenting them? And besides, what's with the entire idea that we can decide who we hire and not hire based on the skin color? Wasn't the entire civil rights movement about the merit of your character rather than the color of your skin? Right? It's just antithetical to everything that came before. If you asked a liberal in the year 2000 or 2005, maybe even 2010, what they thought about this, they would say it's racist. We're talking here about people who, if you go and you rewrite Mein Kampf and replace Jews with straight white men, I think most of the DEI crowd would agree with pretty much anything written there. In fact, a lot of them would agree with it even if you leave the Jews in too. But that's beside the point. This continues. Why does this matter? Whistleblowers from Boeing have pointed out safety concerns with Boeing's production quality issues since 2018. But instead of prioritizing safety and fixing these issues, the company created bonuses that incentivize management to focus on hitting DEI targets. In fact, if you look at their corporate filings, the word diversity appears 54 times, and of course the word merit appears 0 times. The focus away from meritocracy to DEI will likely end thousands one day due to erosion of merit, safety, and excellence. Again, so far what we've seen is a huge increase in near misses. But if we continue, I do believe that we will see a large increase in fatal incidents, which will be very tragic. Meanwhile, corporate ESG and DEI plans incentivize CEO and executives to violate the 1964 Civil Rights Act and the Equal Protection Clause of 14A for a bigger bonus, as was reported in 2020. Boeing CEO pledges a 20% increase in black employees. This is a 2020 article. Of course, by the way, Boeing is not the only company that has DEI target bonuses. Companies like Starbucks have them too. Starbucks makes coffee though, Boeing makes jetliners. People's lives are at stake, and we still have time to avoid the otherwise inevitable diversity plane crashes. Once again, no one is saying that you can't manufacture planes if you're black or gay or a woman. People are merely saying if we hire people based solely on these metrics, or even prioritizing these metrics over excellence, over being competent, then we are putting people's lives in danger when talking about airplanes, and putting the profitability and efficiency of the company in danger when talking about things that don't endanger your life. So that means that your coffee, for example, if we're talking about Starbucks, is going to be less fresh, higher, lesser quality, more expensive, and so on. We're just going to see that Westerners are going to have a very hard time competing in the global economy if they continue with DEI. I am a gamer in terms of hobbying, and well, I can see in my hobby that China is taking over. Their games are just better than the DEI-infested messes that the West produces by and large, and so they are taking a larger market share. And you'll find that the same thing will happen to you in pretty much every other sector of society. So food production, production of materials, steel and wood and so on. You'll just lose your jobs, I guess, to China because DEI. Now, this is from November in 2024, so basically around the time that they knew Trump was going to gut DEI. Where Boeing fired and removed their entire DEI department. Like I said, this doesn't necessarily mean that there is no more DEI, but rather it means that they at the very least want to hide them. All in all, are we seeing more cases of malfunctions and, let's say, lack of skill and merit in aviation? I will say that we have had a lot of notable figures sort of mainstreaming criticism on the subject. Like, for example, talking about how it used to be that if you worked in the control towers for the planes and the other flying modes of transport, you had a very strict regime where if you made mistakes and caused near misses, then you would be retrained or let go of. And nowadays, if you are DEI higher, then you can just skip all of that and just keep going. Obviously, such a policy is going to be harmful to the quality of your employees. And that's probably part of the explanation for why we have a lot more near misses nowadays. In the end, this entire thing was built up on merit. The entire technological system that underpins modern life and allows us the current lifestyle that we have. And what we're doing is we're undermining the basis of it by removing the merit and excellence requirements from all these programs. And as a result, we see a degeneration of the quality of everything. And there will come a time where the critical limit is reached, and then we can basically no longer keep the functions that we had up anymore. Hopefully this stops now, but honestly, I have seen far too many companies just hide DEI instead of removing it. So I do not believe that the perverse incentives are going to stop anytime soon. In the end, while some of these incentives were tied to government programs, which may well be curtailed by Doge, a lot of them came from BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, the largest holding companies in the world, and they basically own pretty much the top 500 companies in the US. They basically have a controlling share in a lot of companies, most of the companies whose names and brands you are aware of, probably. And these companies are pushing DEI very strongly. They're not going to stop, they're just going to rebrand. And they said it themselves. So do be aware that this is going on, and that if you see anyone pushing for more of this, you can vote with your wallet and your feet. If you see anyone promising to stop this, hold them accountable. But if they do keep up with the promises, hopefully you can support them, because it is in our best interest as consumers, as well as the public of the Western world, who is going to be the one hurt if everything moves over to Asia or Africa or India or wherever. We're going to be the ones hurt by the fall in the economy, because DEI cannot compete. DEI lowers standards, and nobody wants the products that DEI creates, whether it be in entertainment or in food or in aviation or transport. It's the simple truth. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.